UFC 305 is finally here, and it takes place this weekend. So I'm going to go through every single fight on this card and give my prediction and breakdown for who I think is going to win the fight and how. Starting with the very first fight on the card, Stewart Nicoll versus Jesus Aguilar. This guy does not exist, bruh. He's 0 feet 0 inches tall. He weighs nothing. He's got no reach. He's got no arms or legs, so I don't see how you could pick him to beat Jesus Aguilar. I'm going to pick Stewart Nicoll, bruh. I think he's got a wrestling advantage. I've watched a couple of his fights. I didn't do too much research on this fight because I'm going to be honest, I don't really care. But I think he's got a wrestling advantage. Jesus Aguilar's not a scrub. Like, Stewart Nicoll is beating up cans in like a very bottom of the barrel promotion, so he could come in here and lose to Jesus Aguilar just because he's not on UFC level. But I think he's gonna be able to use his wrestling edge and beat Jesus Aguilar. Whoa, that was almost bad. He's gonna beat Jesus Aguilar with his wrestling. I'm gonna pick him to win by decision. Moving up, Song Kenan versus Ricky Glenn. I'm gonna pick Song Kenan because Ricky Glenn is really bad. He's really bad. He's moving up from lightweight, coming up to welterweight. He could use that lighter man skill. You know, who knows? Maybe the lighter man skill, he can beat Song Kenan. But Ricky Glenn is so awful. He hasn't won in like 3 years or something. And to be fair, Song Kenan isn't great, but he did drop Ian Gary. So, you know, that's his shining moment in his career. So, oh, well, you know, he dropped Ian Gary, but he hasn't done anything else other than that. But, you know, he's got the power. I'm going to trust in him to pick apart Ricky Glenn at range, maybe KO him. So I'm going to say he finds the chin in round 2 and KOs Ricky Glenn. Give me Song Kenan by round 2 KO. Tom Nolan versus Alex Reyes. I'm going to be going with Tom Nolan because Alex Reyes, you can tell he hasn't fought in forever. He's got one fight in 6 years because he's still wearing the Reebok shorts. So, yeah, that's how you know he has not been very active. I think he had, like, medical issues, like blood clots, similar to Dominic Reyes, his brother, something like that. So he was out forever. And then he recently returned and fought Charlie Campbell, like, 6 months ago. Got KO'd there. Yeah, he's probably going to get KO'd again. Tom Nolan, this is a layup. He's like a minus 1,100 favorite. Tom Nolan's going to beat the dog shit out of Alex Reyes. I'm going to pick him by round 1 KO. Jack Jenkins versus Herbert Burns. I'm going to be picking Jack Jenkins because Herbert Burns is not good. And he's a quitter. And he's just not good in general. He's not good and he's a quitter. Jack Jenkins is pretty good and he's not a quitter. So, Jack Jenkins, a really technical striker. Herbert Burns, not so much. He's going to try to get the fight to the ground. He's probably not going to succeed because, I mean, he's Herbert Burns. So once he fails one takedown, he's probably going to give up. And Jack Jenkins is probably going to KO him late round 1, maybe early round 2. So I'll go Jack Jenkins over Herbert Burns. Casey O'Neill is not fighting whoever that is. She's fighting Luana Santos, who is stepping in on short notice. And I think I'm going to pick Luana Santos. I'm not sure what the odds are, but I think Luana Santos. Casey O'Neill, we've seen her get ragdolled. Luana Santos has good grappling. So I'm going to take the good grappler to beat Casey O'Neill. I know it's short notice, and like she's going all the way to Australia on short notice. But, you know, I just trust in the skill set of Luana Santos more than I trust the skill set of Casey O'Neill. So I'll take Luana Santos on short notice. Josh Culibao versus Ricardo Ramos. This was tough for me because Josh Culibao, he's a tough guy, man. He's a tough guy to get rid of. He's got a lot of heart. A lot of, you know, he got dropped against Danny Silva, I believe is his name, coming off of Tough or Contender Series, something like that. Can't remember. But he got dropped early in that fight and then recovered and toughed it out and made it to the end. So he's got good recoverability, if that's even a word. He's got good recovery. And Ricardo Ramos, he's going to want to get the fight to the ground. I want to look at the odds, but my gut is telling me to trust in Josh Culibao. Trust in the takedown defense of Josh Culibao. Trust in the urgency to get back up if he does get taken down. I like the volume of Culibao. He's throwing with power in his hands. So I'm going to pick him to get it done over Ricardo Ramos. I'm going to say he wins by decision in that one. Here we go. This is a real fight right here. Junior Tafa taking on Valter Walker. Dude, Valter Walker lost his last fight, and they don't even tell you that on the UFC website, dude. They want to erase it from your memory, bro. They want to erase it from your memory that Valter Walker lost to Lucas Dresky, but he did. You won't mind control me. I remember that fight. Oh, I wonder what the odds are on this, bro. This is Battle of the Brothers, bro. Junior Tafa, the brother of Justin Tafa. Valter Walker, the brother of Johnny Walker. I'm gonna go with, I think, who really cares? I think I'm gonna go with Valter Walker. It's really hard to say that after he looked so bad against Lucas Dresky in his debut. Like, he was so tired after like a minute, bro. But Junior Tafa's fat. Oh, this is hard. I'm gonna... you know what? Valter Walker's got a good chin. Junior Tafa's a really good kickboxer, but he struggles when he gets taken down. And he also got his legs torn up by Marcos Rogerio de Lima on short notice. He did step in on like 24 hours notice for Justin Tafa. But I think Valter Walker's going to be able to... He has really good, like, surprising takedown entries. Like, surprisingly quick and explosive takedown entries for a guy that's 6'6", 265. Like, he had some good takedown entries on Lucas Dresky. And I think if you can find him on him, I think you'll find him on Junior Tafa, who seems like he's a little bit easier to get down. So I'm going to go with Valter Walker to win based off control time. I'm going to say he gets a takedown and holds Tafa down. Every time he gets a takedown, I don't think Junior Tafa is going to get back up. So I'm going to say Valter Walker gets that one done by decision, winning off of control time and damage from ground and pound. Just don't like the takedown defense of Junior Tafa. I think Valter Walker is going to be able to get that one done. Moving up, I believe this is the main card. I could be wrong, but I think this is the start of the main card. Jingliang versus Carlos Prates. I think I'm going to go with Carlos Prates. He's kind of got that weird, like, Sean Woodson build, bro. Like, he just looks strange. And I think his striking's just too good. I think he's going to be able to pick apart Jingliang. I think he's a little quicker with his hands. I think he's a little better with his footwork. He's got a big reach advantage. I think he's going to be able to keep Jingliang at distance, pick him apart with quick pop shots. I like the body work of Carlos Prates. And I like the youth on the side of Carlos Prates as well. So I'm going to say Carlos Prates gets that one done over Jingliang. I'm going to say he outstrikes him to a 30-27 decision. I don't think he'll get rid of Jingliang, but I think he will win a dominant 30-27 decision. Moving up, Tuivasa taking on Jairzinho Rozenstruik. Man, Tuivasa, what a downfall, dude. This guy was fighting Cyril Gane for like a number one contender fight, bruh. And he dropped Cyril Gane, dude. The moment Cyril Gane fell to the floor from a punch of Tuivasa, that was the absolute peak of Tuivasa's career. Ever since Cyril Gane got back up, that started the downfall of Tuivasa. He hasn't done anything since then. I think he's lost like 4 in a row, all by finish. Because let's see, he lost to Gane, he lost to Volkov, he lost to Tybura, and he lost to Pavlovich. I think that's the 4. He might have lost again in there, but I think those are the ones I can remember. And Jairzinho Rozenstruik's coming off the win over Shamil Gaziev, the Blob. You know, as much as I want to pick Tuivasa to go chin Jairzinho Rozenstruik, I don't think I can. We've seen Jairzinho Rozenstruik KO'd like one time in his entire career against Ngannou. But other than that, his chin is held up, and I don't think Tai Tuivasa is gonna be the one to crack the chin. But dude, I don't know, man. Tai Tuivasa against Tybura, he was landing big shots on the feet. Is Rozenstruik gonna shoot a takedown? Dude, I'm gonna pick Tuivasa, man. I'm gonna pick Tuivasa. I think he's just gonna blitz in, put the pressure on Rozenstruik, and one of those shots is gonna put him away. I've just got this feeling. Everything in my body is telling me that Rozenstruik should win this fight. My mind is telling me Rozenstruik, but dude, I just have this gut feeling. He's in Australia. It's his home turf. He's gonna come out there motivated, and I don't think Rozenstruik is gonna shoot a takedown. And as much as we want to say Tai Tuivasa, you know, we want to talk about the losing streak of Tai Tuivasa, he's looked good in the stand-up in a lot of those fights. Like Tybura, he was landing big shots. I mean, he dropped Gan, dude. And Volkov subbed him, and Tybura subbed him. I think if you're a high-level heavyweight, you can take down and sub Tuivasa or KO him on the feet. I think Jairzinho Rozenstruik is good, but I don't think he's a high enough level of heavyweight to... Oh, man, I don't know. I don't think he's a high enough level to be able to avoid the big bombs of Tuivasa. Because Tuivasa does have unreal power in his hands. He's not like Gaziev. Tuivasa does have one-shot KO power, and I think he's going to find the shot. So I'm going to go Tai Tuivasa. I'm going to say he gets a round 1 KO over Rozenstruik. Again, it wouldn't surprise me in the slightest if Rozenstruik wins. But, man, I've just got a feeling that Tuivasa gets it done. So I'm going to trust my gut. Mateusz Gamrot versus Dan Hooker. I mean, it's hard to pick Dan Hooker. It's really hard to pick Dan Hooker. And I'm not going to. I'm going to pick Gamrot. I'm sure he's probably a huge favorite, like minus 300. But, I mean, he's got good wrestling, good chain wrestling. He was dropped by RDA, but I don't think Dan Hooker has that kind of power in his hands to put away Gamrot. I just think he's going to get wrestle-fucked, bro. I don't think he's going to be able to stop the wrestling of Gamrot. So... as much as I would like to see Dan Hooker get it done, I think Gamrot's wrestling is just going to be too much. It's going to be too much, and he's not awful on the feet. I think Dan Hooker could be worrying about the takedowns, and that could open up the striking even more for Gamrot. But I don't know. I just think Gamrot's going to get it done, and I think that's the logical choice. I think if you're picking with logic, you have to pick Mateusz Gamrot to beat Dan Hooker. But, you know, it's MMA. Anything can happen. I'm sure Dan Hooker could pull off a guillotine or something like that makes no sense because the sport is illogical. But I'm going to trust that logic prevails and that Gamrot is able to get Hooker down and probably win a smudge grappling decision, 30-27, where he just wins off control time. Just the loudest boos you will ever hear echoing throughout the arena in Australia, as Mateusz Gamrot lays and camps in full guard against Dan Hooker. I'm going to say he gets a 30-27 decision. Moving up, co-main event. Kai Kara France versus Steve Erceg. The odds on this are a little crazy. I did check the odds for the main and co-main. Dude, Steve Erceg is like a minus 230 favorite. I think that's kind of crazy. I think this fight is pretty close, bro. I think this is a pretty close fight. Like, I think Steve Erceg should be a slight favorite. I don't think he should be a 2-1 favorite, over a 2-1 favorite. I think that's kind of insane. Kai Kara France does have good striking. He's really quick with his hands, super good boxer, just like Steve Erceg. And he's got a very slight reach advantage. But I'm gonna take Steve Erceg, dude. I've picked him in every single fight he's had in the UFC ever since his debut against his title fight against Pantoja. Every single fight he's had, I've picked Steve Erceg, and I'm not going to stop. I think Steve Erceg is going to beat Kai Kara France, but I do think this is a dangerous fight for him, and I think the odds are a little insane. Kai Kara France is a good underdog if you want to go throw money on it. I'm not a gambling guy, but If you want to throw money on an underdog, I think Kai Kara-France is the one to throw money on. But I don't know, man. Steve Erceg's boxing has just looked so crisp and so clean. He's so defensively sound, too, with his boxing. Like, he's always got his hands up. He's a very hard guy to hit. He's always got his hands up. He's always rolling with punches. He's a very hard guy to hit clean. And he's also got the wrestling on his side. I think he's a better wrestler than Kai Kara-France. So if things get tricky on the feet, Steve Erceg has the grappling to go to. He has the wrestling, whereas Kai Kara-France does not. So Steve Erceg just has more ways to win the fight. So I think you gotta go Steve Erceg. You don't have to, but I'm gonna go Steve Erceg because he's got more ways to win. He can implement the grappling. He can implement the wrestling. He's already got really good boxing. He could just outbox Kai Kara-France. It's only a 3-round fight, which I think favors Kai Kara-France a little bit because he can push more of a pace and maybe out-volume Steve Erceg. But I think Steve Erceg is just too technically sound. I think he's got too many ways to win. So I'm going to take Steve Erceg to get that one done. I'm going to say he wins a 29-28 decision over Kai Kara-France. And now we're moving on to the main event, the fight everyone has been waiting for. It's Dricus Du Plessis defending his title for the first time against Israel Adesanya. Adesanya is a slight favorite as of now, minus 135 to plus 114 of Dricus Du Plessis. A lot of people are picking Dricus Du Plessis, but I think Izzy's going to get it done. I don't know, man. Just watching Dricus Du Plessis fight, I don't have anything against him. I'm sure he's a great guy, dude. Like he's pretty funny. But I don't know. I just think Adesanya has the style to beat him. He's got that goofy goober like blitz where he throws punches like a cartoon character. And Izzy is a dangerous counter striker, man, especially fighting off the back foot. You know, he could get out of the way of the blitz of Du Plessis and land a counter hook on Du Plessis, put him out. He could maybe sit back and win a point fighting decision. Although I think that's less likely than a KO. I really do. I think a decision win is far less likely than an Adesanya KO. I think Adesanya's best chance is a KO. And I think Dricus Du Plessis' best chance is honestly a decision. That might be a hot take. That might be a bizarre take. And I'm going to take Adesanya to get the KO. You know, people are going to talk about the grappling. Like, oh, Dricus Du Plessis, he's just going to go out there, ragdoll Adesanya. I saw someone say he's going to ragdoll him and submit him easily. Dude, who has Dricus ever ragdolled and submitted easily in the UFC? Darren Till? I wouldn't even call that easily. He got him in like round 3 or round 2. And Darren Till got up multiple times from a back, like Dricus Du Plessis had Darren Till's back. And he was able to explode out of it and get back to his feet. Dricus Du Plessis has never taken down and subbed anyone easily. So if you think he's going to take down and sub Adesanya in round 1 or something, I think that's a bizarre take. I don't think that's very realistic at all. I think Dricus Du Plessis, if he's going to win this fight, he's going to win it through his adjustments and through his heavy pressure on the feet. I think Dricus Du Plessis, if he gets this fight in boxing range and he keeps this fight in boxing range, keeps walking down Adesanya, keeps putting the pressure on him, but stays defensively sound, I think that's where he wins this fight, because Adesanya's boxing, just pure boxing, is not the best. He's very hittable in boxing range, and his jab isn't that great, and he's just not the best boxer. He really excels when he's able to implement his kicks. The takedowns are going to be a factor. Dricus Du Plessis will definitely shoot a takedown in Israel Adesanya, assuming the fight, goes longer than 2 minutes. But I'm looking at Israel Adesanya, and he's putting on so much muscle. He's putting on so much mass. I think he's really bulking up. He's going to be working on the wrestling, the takedown defense. He's going to be drilling that heavy. And to be quite honest, man, if Darren Till is getting back up from your takedowns when you have his back, if he's exploding out of that and getting back up, then I don't see how you hold down Adesanya and submit him easily. I'm going to say he gets a KO in round 2 on Du Plessis, who's trying to charge forward, throwing his goofy goober blitz, getting into boxing range. I'm going to say Adesanya finds a pullback counter, drops Du Plessis, and finishes him off with ground and pound, similar to the Costa fight maybe. Yeah, I'm going to go Adesanya. I think he's going to get it done. And I'm not sure I want him to, honestly. I kind of want the middleweight division to move forward past Adesanya, but I think he's going to get it done. I've been thinking this since the fight was announced. But, man, it's so hard watching Dricus Du Plessis fights and seeing him beat a guy like Adesanya. You know, at least Sean Strickland, he was super, even before the Adesanya fight, Strickland was always a guy that's super good defensively in the stand-up. Like, he's a very hard guy to hit. Like, in hindsight, Strickland is a tough matchup for Adesanya because he's so hard to hit. But Dricus Du Plessis is there to be hit. He's nowhere near as defensively sound as Strickland. So I think Adesanya is just going to find that shot and put him out. So yeah, my pick is going to be Israel Adesanya by round 2 KO. And those are my picks for UFC 305, Du Plessis versus Adesanya. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think Du Plessis is going to retain the belt, or do you think Adesanya is going to recapture middleweight gold for the 3rd time? Also, let me know who you got in the co-main event, Steve Erceg or Kai Kara France. Can't wait for this card. Super excited. And I'll see you guys next time.